This is the story about Mr. Bean and the mice. Once upon a time, down on an old farm lived 9 grey mice, in a mouse hole in the wall on the farmer's house. One day they ran into the farmer's kitchen to look for food. On the counter there was a sweet cheese. The mice ran to the counter and started to climb up onto it. "I love cheese," yelled Peter. "Me too," added Wilma, as he crawled into a hole in the block of sweet cheese. "This is the biggest piece of cheese I have ever seen. It will take us a week to eat all of it," said Fiona. The 9 mice nibbled away, breaking pieces of the delicious cheese off. Bruce, one of the mice, found a place inside the cheese and was eating from the inside out. They were so busy eating the cheese that they didn't see Mr. Bean, the black and orange cat, sneaking up on them. He jumped carefully onto the counter. His whiskers were twitching, and his long furry tail stood up in the air as he crept closer to the mouse. "I wonder what that stupid cat is doing now," said Sarah. "If only he could see us now." "Oh, he's probably snoozing in front of the fire," Peter answered. "Hey, toss me down a chunk of cheese," yawned Andy, a lazy grey mouse. Jimmy nibbled off a big bit and dropped it onto the counter. "Thanks," Andy said, picking up the cheese. He was about to eat it when he heard a noise behind him. Slowly he turned around. "Yikes!" he shouted, and climbed into a hole in the cheese. The other mice stopped and looked. There stood Mr. Bean with a big smile on his face. "Meow, stupid cat. Snoozing in front of the fire, I am. I hate to disappoint you, but here I am." The mice rushed away from the cheese, all except Lazy Andy. He was still inside the cheese. Mr. Bean started lifting the cheese, tossing it around in the air, looking for the mice. Just then he spotted Andy's tail sticking out of the cheese. "What have we here?" He pulled the mouse's tail, and soon Andy was dangling in the air in front of his eyes. "Looks like you didn't run fast enough. Now you will be my supper." Mr. Bean was about to gobble Lazy Andy when all the other mice started crawling all over him. They crawled in his ears. They crawled up his legs. They crawled under his arms and on his tail. "Get off me!" he shouted, dropping Lazy Andy on the counter. "I don't want mice crawling on me." But the mice kept running through his fur. "Stop it! You're tickling me!" Mr. Bean shouted, starting to laugh. Soon he was lying on the counter, laughing hard. "Get the cheese and take it to the mouse hole," Sarah and Peter whispered to Lazy Andy and Fiona. They picked up the biggest piece of cheese they could carry, and while the others occupied themselves with disturbing the cat, they took the cheese to their hole. They ran back and got another big piece. Soon all the cheese was safely stowed away. Mr. Bean was laughing so hard that he tired himself out. "Let's go!" shouted Sarah. All the mice ran as fast as they could back to the mouse hole. An hour later, Mr. Bean stopped laughing. He lay on the counter, too exhausted to move. He noticed that the mice were all gone, along with the cheese. "I hate mice," he said. That night, the mice finished their dinner of cheese, and Mr. Bean, the cat, went to bed without any supper.